What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com. It's post Hell in a Cell. It is October 25th, but it's actually October 26th where this time-traveling future man is from. We've got lukewarm Luke Owen, my greatest nemesis. You could call him a frenemy. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, my frenemy. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm really liking not only am I liking the early start times for WWE recently, you just mentioned the clocks went back. So compared to like 13 months ago for you, this has got to be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like this show finishing at 2 a.m. is so sweet. Like that's like, I feel like there was a period of time when 2 a.m. was like, that's when pay-per-views would start. But yeah, if finishing at 2 a.m. is really, really nice.
Yeah, I'm really digging this because, I mean, that makes a decent night for me, too. And it's been a busy weekend. We had Bound for Glory coverage, a post-show. We had UFC coverage. Khabib Nurmagomedov retired. Make sure you guys go check out Shaquille Majuri's coverage of that. Over at FightfulSelect.com, I have a whole lot on the Kylie Ray situation, and there is a lot there. But we're breaking news there every single day. We've got like 6 podcasts a week. There's a ton of stuff over on FightfulSelect.com. But if you're watching right now, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, tap the bell for notifications. And if you donate a super chat, we will get your question read on the air, including Carlos EZ, who says, "Give me a yes, please."
Yes, please. Get him rowdy.
Lukewarm Luke Owen. I gotta say, I was very I thought I was gonna be the only person on Quizlemania that did gimmicks, and then I was like,
oh man. Well, you see, the thing is, you did a gimmick, and they were like, "Oh wow,
yeah,
that people really liked that. Like, we all need to get gimmicks now."
And then I saw yours, and I'm like, "Damn it, pal, he did it! Damn it, pal, the kid did it. He reinvented himself." You did go through you went through the Genesis. You were basically Stunning Steve, a very successful competitor in your own right, but then you turned it up to 11, as they say.
It was, yeah. I was also like, couldn't win the title. They would never push me into the main event. And it took me going through to this, getting a gimmick that worked. And people were like, all right, now it's time to put the belt on the kid.
Plus, let's be real. Those shirt sales.
Yeah, the shirt sales are pretty good. Yeah.
Head over to WrestleTalkMerch.com. Go ahead and buy yourself an FTF shirt. You never know. Maybe one day Luke and I will form a tag team. Maybe we'll be WTF TF.
Oh, do you know what? It sounds pretty good. And actually, now that the All Authority has won back the title, I'm no longer the Jam That champion.
I saw that.
I may need that help.
I saw that. And Adam declared the North new Quizlemania tag team champions. Because they beat the Good Brothers.
In the last couple of weeks, I lost the Quizlemania Championship to Nugget. I lost the Quizlemania Tag Team Championship to the Good Brothers, who has now gone to the North. And I've just lost the championship as well. I've not had a good couple of weeks.
Oh, man. It is rough. Oblivious Carey says, another helping of Luke. Great surprise. Well, you can check out all kinds of his work over at WrestleTalk.com. Of course, friends of Fightful. Great guys over there at WrestleTalk, and girls. They got a new daily show with Louie, and there's like 50 people going on that show. There's Alex. I know Stephanie does it as well. It's a great show. Make sure you guys check it out.
Doing great work on that.
It's a lot better than the 24/7 championship. R-Truth defeated Drew Gulak to retain the title. Like, when I see Drew doing things like this, I'm like, he could do so much more, but I know it's also something he can sink his teeth into. But then I see like glimpses of his ability, both technically and athletically, and I'm like, he could do so much more than this. And not only that, we've seen this so many times.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying this on the live stream that we just did. Like 8 months ago, he was having that great technical wrestling match with Daniel Bryan that people were raving about. Here he is, just 8 months later. Do you know what it is? It's Daniel Bryan going home for a bit. Like Drew Gulak became his tag partner. And you know, when the tag partner goes out injured and they're like, well, we've got nothing else for the other guy because your tag partner's out. And so, yeah, this is what Drew ends up with.
The sad reality is a lot of times they just take the other person off TV altogether, which did happen to Drew Gulak for a while. He just disappeared. They AOP'd him. When one of them gets hurt, the other one disappears. And, Truth won he won. He countered a pin from Gulak, and he did the 5-knuckle shuffle. And you'd be shocked to learn that Akira Tozawa and the Lucha House Party came out and gave chase. Really, the most noteworthy thing here is Drew Gulak going over to the kickoff table and saying that John Cena sucked.
Yeah, it was something or nothing. It's just more filler stuff for Raw. I think the 24/7 title has very much had its day. I've been done with it for a long time. I think just it's because it's always been on Truth. Then it makes it feel even more stale.
I don't think I'd be done with it if they weren't so lazy with it, but they are lazy with it. At this point, R-Truth shouldn't be in the picture. He shouldn't be competing for it. He shouldn't be doing that anymore. It's the same old thing, and I'm just so sick of it. We have a super chat from Jaime Villegas who says, Dong Lord / lukewarm Luke Owen, next Grizzlemania Tag Team Champions. We want more of this team. Give me a yes, please.
Yes, please. I mean, that's a more reliable team. At least that's two former actual champions.
It's like the 2-man power trip. It's just which one of us is going to tear a quad in the middle of it. And we got a hashtag FTF there. Throwback 27 says the production in the cell was amazing. All the trash talking. Best line of the night. The tribal chief doesn't quit. So many lines in that show. Oh, yeah, we're getting to that one now. Man. Hell in a Cell, I Quit match. My only qualm, I'll say, didn't need it to be 30 minutes and didn't need this in a cell. I don't think they used it very much. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was in the cell because it's the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. That's pretty much the only reason it was in there. But, oh, dude, this match was so good. I didn't think they would be able to top the drama and, that they brought a clash. But they brought it and something else. This was awesome. So great. The super chat then was just saying the trash talking throughout was incredible. So beautifully mic'd in the ring.
Oh yeah.
Roman's wicked at the moment. I love Heyman selling a bit on the outside. Thought the drama was great. And that ending with with Afra and Sika was just everything about this was I didn't even mind the length. I actually thought Talia sex tape. I actually thought that I loved the 30-minute time limit, the length that it went. I didn't feel like it went long.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed is even though we hear so much of this trash talk and it's so good, in this era I really don't hear anybody calling spots in the ring. I don't hear anybody go drop down, drop kick, brother. Nothing like that. And meanwhile, with 10, 15,000 people, you'd always go John Cena, go, headlock takeover! Maybe it's because they don't have to yell it over the crowd anymore. Maybe that's it. But I figured that because there was nobody, you would hear it more. But also we've got that ambient noise as well. So this match, Roman hit some spears early. I think the suicide dives work really well with Hell in a Cell. Because so often when there's no cell in WWE, when they do suicide dives, they lean out of the ropes and kind of nudge people. But here they're smashing right into the cage.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it was really cool, visceral stuff. And but this was all about it was Roman's trash talking. There's the tribal chief doesn't quit. My favorite things about this match was there were two wicked spots in that. Jey, quite early on, choked Roman out.
Yes.
He put Roman to sleep, choked him with the thing. And if this had just been a regular Hell in a Cell match, that would have been it. Jey would have been champion because it had the I quit stipulation. The commentary did a really good job of putting over. Someone has to say I quit for this match to end. And then you had Roman do the same thing. You looked the guillotine in and choked Jey out. But the match couldn't end. So he's then, you got to try and wake your guy up to then make them quit. So the drive-by with the steel steps was really inventive.
Oh, yeah.
There's some really, really great stuff in this. The chat was going nuts for this on our live stream, going absolutely nuts for it.
Reminder, guys, you can check out that live stream over at WrestleTalk's channel. They do pay-per-view live streams during every pay-per-view show, as far as I know. I'm always there trolling in the chat. But
I saw you in there.
I sent a chat to Louie, and I was like, check your DMs, it's important. Breaking news. And then I said, Roman's not wearing the vest. Just to get him to react. I'm like, he has to wear it. We're jeopardizing his health by not wearing it. But the strap stuff was so good. And I mean, I do see a lot of people that were like, man, Daniel Bryan got fired for this. And I get it. Different situation here, but Roman's hitting Uso, and Uso can't breathe. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to give him pleurisy, the worst possible thing that he can do. But he did. Like, we saw Uso choke out Reigns. We saw Reigns choke out Uso. And with the guillotine, he's really been establishing that. And I do not envy some of the people that are going to have 250-pound Roman Reigns with a standing guillotine on somebody, basically supporting them with the quads. But the emotion that emerged here. Reigns cracked Uso with the stairs, asked for him to quit. The ref was pleading with Jey. Such a good touch. Officials come out there. You know when Adam Pearce is coming out there, business is getting done. He's not wasting his time. But then Jimmy runs out and pleads with Roman. And he says, this is Josh here. This is Josh, which is the real name. And says, we can fix whatever we're going through. We can fix it. And Roman Reigns cries, surely we're getting a million thumbnails. I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, give it to me. Give me those tears. Give me Roman Reigns in the Big Show in a first tears match. I need more Roman Reigns crying. Give it to me.
He's a good crier, man.
Yeah.
He is a good crier.
Ric Flair is a special guest referee. Let's do it. All the tears. I love
Tommy
it.
Dreamer could be out there as an outside enforcer.
Yes. Oh man. So Reigns ends up choking out Jimmy. He grabs Jimmy's hand, and there's this emotional moment, chokes him out, and Jey quits to save Jimmy. This took like 47 minutes of the show, and I thought the match was a little long, but then when I saw it, I was like, 47 minutes? Okay, well, it flew by for 47 minutes. That's for sure. And as you said, Alpha and Sika honored Reigns at the top. That was a touch, man.
Oh man, wasn't it just such a touch? And like Heyman just sort of standing off to the side. You know, he's not a part of this, but Alpha and Sika putting the lay on him, and he just stands forward and raises up that title. He is the head of the table. He is the tribal chief. So great. Our producer pointed out, and he said like the headstrings were always treated as a joke in the WWF. So it was so lovely to see them really get this moment where they can raise up their next generation of the of their family lineage as a top guy. It was a really great moment for them.
Throwback 27. Make sure you guys check out his show on Tuesdays, guys. He has a lot of Fightful mods and personalities on as well. He says, this match was a full-on emotional roller coaster. The ending of Roman and Jey was interesting. The psychology of Jimmy being there to force Jey to quit shows the depth they have for this story. The mic work on the show was killer. The trash talk was wicked. I completely agree. Roman Reigns being the guy that, quite frankly, every single person that watched the program besides Vince McMahon knew he could be 5-6 years ago. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, the fact that he didn't change for so long added to it. And I'm like, no. I would have much rather had good programming for 5 years than be like, oh, well, we waited this long. But he's such a natural at this. Like, he's such an alpha male.
Yeah. I mean, but my question to you, Sean, is why wasn't this the main event?
Oh, my God. Well, I'll tell you why. Because WWE's like, goddamn, the heat. The heat.
They want to give you that tease that The Miz is going to cash in and be WWE champion in 2020.
Oh, boy. There's a nice super chat about that for later. JJ Lee says, though, Roman's still wiping the tear at the end. Chef kiss.
Oh,
that was...
Yeah.
The little things.
Oh,
the little
my
things.
God. Just wipes it away from his face and then just rubs down his chest being like, it meant nothing.
Yes.
Dude, it was so good. I loved it.
And I like it when commentary just lays out for that and they don't go, oh, he's still crying. No, it doesn't mean anything now. Because that happens way too often. JJ Lee says, Roman showing Alpha and Sika respect as a former heads of the table as a team, but not the Usos, made Jey feel lesser for being in a team. Interesting. That is a great
That's
nuance.
Really good. Yeah.
And
I didn't even think of that.
I like it when we can discuss things like that and we don't have to be, is his nickname the Freak? Because I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't know. I don't think they hammered that home enough, to be honest. I'm still not 100% sure what his gimmick is.
I'm waiting for WWE's confirmation on that. I reached out, and they have not confirmed to me that Lars Sullivan's nickname is the Freak. Aaron says, Roman versus Jey was perfect, best match of the night. Well, it's got some competition there. Logan Hollingsworth said that was some Emmy-worthy crying from Reigns. Well, maybe eventually he'll be as good as Chris Van Vliet, but I doubt it.
We could all one day hope to be as good as Chris Van Vliet.
Roman Reigns has never interviewed The Rock. That's never happened.
And he's got the easiest connection to him. He could easily get that interview.
Throwback 27 says, does this show a little bit that Roman versus Rock is the end game? Randy now being champion, does that mean Edge would be his Mania opponent? Are they long-term booking starting now? Okay, so to hammer home on Throwback's point, I'm all in on Roman versus The Rock for the title. I'm okay with Edge versus Orton at Mania. I don't need Edge versus Orton at Mania for the title and Rock competing for the title at Mania. Really, I don't need either one of those to have a title because we have established that the family that Roman Reigns is a part of is the prize. The title is secondary at this point. And also, Edge does not need to win a title at WrestleMania. Quite frankly, 10 years ago, he won a title match at WrestleMania and could not pass that off to somebody. And you have to have that in your mind going into something like that.
Yeah, dude. It's the end, like the end visual of this show. All I was thinking the entire time was like, I'm 10 years ago. It's a decade ago. Could you imagine in 1998 if WWE had run the same angles that they had in 1988 with the same people? Yeah. And to be like, you're still watching though, right? You're still watching the same. I mean, I know WCW were doing it, but like WWF were trying to like move on and trying to present this new product for people. It is staggering to me that we have got the same lineup of Randy as champion and Miz as Money in the Bank holder. And as someone pointed out, Miz cashed in on Randy on November 22nd, 2010, which is the date of Survivor Series.
Oh. Well, let me tell you guys, if you all are tired of these same old angles, if you're looking to freshen it up with your penis, check out BlueChew.com and use that code FIGHTFUL. Are you sick of the same old shit? Are you looking to push some new talent, if you know what I mean? Maybe turn back the clock 10 years. BlueChew.com gets it done. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work, but they're chewable, so they're ready whenever you are or whenever you're not. If you're not ready, maybe you need that sustained push. It's not for people that just have performance problems. It's for that confidence. Maybe you want to make sure that you're booked properly in the bedroom. Yeah, I mean, come on. There are so many other factors. People going into business for themselves. Then the dreaded shoot. You don't want someone to shoot early. So Blue Chew takes care of you. It's prescribed online. Blue Chew works with their affiliated online physicians to get you the active ingredient you need. You don't have to wait in line at the pharmacy. You don't have to wait in line at the doctor's office. And that's a good thing these days. You want to avoid those places if you can. Don't want to be going there for your wiener pills, my friends, but you'll want to be getting those wiener pills, let me tell you. They ship to you discreetly, so that way your mailman won't be looking at your package and saying, well, let's be real. If he's looking at your package, he's going to go, God damn, is that Blue Chew? But I mean the other package. He's not going to be like, oh, that's Blue Chew. Now, when he gets word of mouth from around town, he's going to know that you're using Blue Chew because everybody that you're in the sack with is going to be like, hey, he's got a dope dick. BlueChew.com code FIGHTFUL gets you that first shipment free. You just pay $5 shipping. Hit them up at Get Blue Chew on Twitter. Or it's just at Blue Chew on Twitter now. My bad. I'm so used the first couple of years to saying Get Blue Chew on Twitter. But now it's at Blue Chew on Twitter. Just let them know you heard about them from us. Can't tell you how much that helps us out. Just the awareness, you know what I mean? So let them know. Say, hey, you know what? I heard about the concept of erect, effective penises from Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful, and I want to know a little bit more about that. Well, we got some super chats. Reminder, guys, donate them. Get your question read on the air.
I was talking to Denise on Friday. I said, I'm doing the post show on Fightful after Hell in a Cell. The first thing that Denise said to me was like, well, I mean, I've never been invited to a post show. First off.
She does her own. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought.
If she didn't, then I would do that because I love having Denise on. I mean, and I particularly love having like 12-year-old girls bury Denise. Izzy buried Denise.
So good.
It was amazing.
Like the second thing she said was like, "But watch out for those Blue Chew ads because they will hit you. They will hit you."
Oh, they will. They will for sure. Oh my God. We have some more super chats coming your way. Anakin JMT says, "I'm just glad this year ended better than 2019 did." I'm not sure that it did. I can't even remember what happened. James Shelley says they got to be looking at getting Big E in the WrestleMania title picture, especially with New Day Uso stuff from years ago and Jimmy and Jey having to fall in line. I could think of far worse things than Roman Reigns and Big E. That sounds fun to me.
Yeah, that sounds really good, actually.
Anshu Kamal says, Luke, the All Authority is champion again. Will you be fired again?
No, I can't be fired this time. I've got an ironclad contract.
You got that Shawn Michaels 98 deal.
I did indeed, yeah, because lost my smile and stuff, but they can't fire me now. But I am going to have to find a way to get that title away from him. Because Ollie doesn't have a car. That means I'm probably going to have to drive it over to his house. No, he sold his car last year.
Why?
We live in London. Like, you don't really need a car around here. And he was cycling to work. But yeah, so I know it was paying for a parking space. Now he doesn't have a car, so which means if I've got to go get anything, I've got to drive over to his house.
Fair. I mean, more people live on his block than in my entire town. Anakin says, Sean, 2019 was Seth and Fiend. Okay, I thought you meant the year ended better than 2019. Yes, this Hell in a Cell ended much better than last year's. Sean Muldowney says, awesome to see Luke here. Wednesdays are my favorite day of the week with listening to your boy, Quizzlemania and Wednesday Night Wars. Thanks, guys. Well, we appreciate you. And also, starting on November 4th, I will be back on the Wednesday Night War podcast. Warren will be moving on, but we thank him very much for the stuff that he has done here. We'll be going live at 10:30 p.m. Eastern every week. And I don't think it's a secret. NXT and AEW wrestlers openly tweet about watching our show. So you never know who might pop up in there. Never know. Anakin JMT says, loved Booker telling Truth he was Kofi. And Truth saying, dog, I know who you are. God. I
actually like Truth going up to Jeff Jarrett and calling him Road Dog. I thought that was pretty funny.
That was a good touch. The Nerd Guru says, damn, Drew versus Roman versus Balor would have slapped at Survivor Series. I so don't want to see brand warfare at Survivor Series.
No, but I think we're getting it again.
Woof. Well,
get retribution in those Raw t-shirts.
Oh, yeah. We're definitely getting Elias versus Jeff Hardy again because this is the DQ. I thought the action was fine. Like, I love that Elias sit-down powerbomb out of the electric chair. But Jeff hits him with a guitar and it gets a DQ. And the funniest thing was when Jeff was stomping the guitar, they did camera zooms every time he stomped. And that was really all I had on this. This could have happened on Raw.
I've got little to add to this. Like, I don't think it really needs to be on pay-per-view. I was surprised they didn't just give Elias the big win, though. If he's coming back and they've apparently got him pegged to be this main event star and he's got an album to promote, I thought they'd just give him the win. Just give him a solid, decisive win rather than this DQ stuff.
Well, Tucker decisively split from Otis, so I'm not sure where the interpromotional brand split thing lands here. I just know that I'm going to be very frustrated in the coming weeks because it does not matter, and I get it. This was instituted by a court of law within WWE. Like, people were like, Shauna, were you upset that there were Raw wrestlers on SmackDown? No, they got subpoenaed. They had to show up there. It was a rule. But this was the 14th match this year with Otis taking on Miz or Morrison.
Is it really?
Sort. Whether it be like gauntlet tag matches or tag matches or anything, 14 times they faced each other. And that doesn't even include the Tucker stuff while Otis was gone. But this was a SmackDown match is what this was.
Yeah, it really was. And it had a SmackDown finish as well, which is that, Tucker turned heel. And I kind of had someone that sent us in a super chat during the live stream saying, like, I think Tucker's going to turn heel in this. And we were like, no, I don't think so. And then I saw him standing on the outside by that briefcase. And I thought, oh, man, he's going to pick up that briefcase and he's going to crack Otis right in the head with it. And yep, sure enough, picked it up, hit Otis with the head. Miz got the pin. Miz is the Money in the Bank contract holder again. Otis and Tucker on different brands, but have started a feud.
I get it. There are some people that are like, oh, Sean complaining about the brand split again. They can make whatever rules they want. It's not real. This isn't like Major League Baseball being like, you know what? New rule. It's not real. They can just make a rule and make sense of stuff. It took somebody pitching this past week. Hey, yo, we got that guy that was going to be the hacker and we forgot about the hacker. Can we just mention that and tie that up? And finally they were like, yeah, sure, whatever. And they did it, thankfully. But as you mentioned, that was the match. Tucker turned on Otis. That was it. Miz does have Money in the Bank. And I do think that Miz is like one really good, serious promo away from having a higher profile, but it also would not shock me one bit to see Miz lose this again, because I think that would be a good way for the heel to get his comeuppance is, well, you got the opportunity to earn that, so now someone else can get that opportunity. I just don't know who it would be, but yeah, Otis and Tucker starting a feud right now.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just Miz is the Money in the Bank. I think Miz is a great mid-card act, but I don't think he's a main eventer. I really don't. And I don't think 10 years has helped that perception either. I don't think he is. I think he's perfectly suited to that mid-card act. It's great. The mid-card act he's got with Morrison, perfectly fine. Him kicking it up in the IC title and US title picture, lovely stuff. Him as WWE champion in 2020, that's not for me. It's not my bag.
I can't write him off as a top-level guy just because, we never know when we'll see, a Daniel Bryan talking smack promo, and that lit stuff on fire. But it's also not easy to create. There was, 6-7 years of history between those two? I don't know what they can do to change that. This feels like at least a slightly better version of when they gave Sheamus the Money in the Bank. That year everybody was hurt. It's not as bad as that, but it's still rough.
No. It's a bit rough.
James Shelley sends a super chat and says, with 3 cell matches, they all needed to feel different. I love the storytelling heavy cell match that started off. It didn't need crazy bumps or weapons. Well, I mean, it did have a strap, so that was a weapon. But yeah, I agree. This was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. Reminder, guys, get your super chats in. We'll read your question or statement on the air, but leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and tap that bell for notifications. If you guys are new to the channel, we do post shows right after Raw, right after SmackDown, shortly after AEW and NXT. We have a Wednesday afternoon news show, myself and Fightful founder Jimmy Van. And then we've got the Distraction podcasts all week. Jeremy Lambert and Joe Holbert talking wrestling news. They play TEW. They review every crappy wrestling movie there possibly is. And this week they're reviewing Elias's album, Hot Diggity Dog.
Oh, Lee. That. I mean, it's a dirty job. As Faith No More once brilliantly said, it's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
They like that, though. They like being known as the guys who... they are doing the equivalent of we got to go dig out this septic line that exploded. But they thrive on that. They love that. They love it. James Shelley says, only silver lining of brand warfare would be an Asuka Sasha Io match. Could make for a match of the year candidate. My God.
That's good. That is good. That would be worth it.
Well, we're getting closer. I'm going to save the women's Hell in a Cell for next to last because... for some reason, we got Bobby Lashley beating Slapjack, and I think Slapjack is going to get over because of his stupid name and mask. I think he'll be
Is he, Sean? I mean? Are you sure?
I think he'll sarcastically get over.
Okay.
I think people will just start to be like, man, that mask is ridiculous, and he's ridiculous, and that name is stupid. so let's like him type of thing. Like, I think there's a possibility. But he hit a tornado DDT and got tapped out with a full Nelson, and that was it.
I feel so bad for like Samoa Joe and Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton having to say the name Slapjack, but like, and not as if it's a legit wrestler name. Be like, great move there by Slapjack. You know, it's
ridiculous,
so hard to do. Man. So Retribution got absolutely they got beat on Monday, and then were not made to look good against the Fiend either. And then come to this show, Ali's cutting this promo and he's like, hey, we're a legit threat. And I'm like, I don't think you are, buddy. Then on this show, Slapjack gets tapped out. T-Bar and Mace get in the ring and you think, okay, so they're going to lay out Bobby Lashley with this lights out move that Ali, this is it. This is how they're going to get their heat back. Nope. Bobby Lashley beats both of them up on their own. The Hurt Business come out. I'm like, you don't need to, lads. He's got this on his own. He's got this covered. He gets in the ring. Ali runs away. This is your group, man.
Even if I'm Adam Pearce, I'm saying like, hey, MVP, Shelton, Cedric, you can piss off. All I need is Lashley and the Fiend. They done just fine. We don't got to get the billable hours for all of you. We're all right. And
they have given up on this group. 100% have given up on this group.
I gotta say, I'm just really excited to finally see Retribution get their comeuppance. I like when that finally happens. Let me tell you, the virtual crowd's gonna go wild. Colt Bedeau says, I don't even think Blue Chew can save Retribution. Well, Retribution is a part of Blue Chew, so it's no wonder they learned how to hack and turn the lights off because they're so embarrassed to be in that goddamn ring at this point.
Hey, if you don't want a slapjack, you need to get onto Blue Chew. Use that code Fightful.
You do know what a slapjack is, right?
Yeah, it's the thing that Conan used to use, right? Back in TNA.
Oh no, that was Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray. Yes, Stevie Ray did it. Yeah, I actually interviewed him about the slapjack.
I thought Conan used to use one in TNA as well when he was part of Three Live Crew.
Yes, okay, he probably did. That was going to be my next Quizzlemania gimmick, was just every time we referenced a wrestler, I would reference me speaking to them in some manner. But according to...
You can't do that. That's Chris's gimmick.
I know. He took it. He legitimately took it. I was like, damn it. But according to UrbanDictionary.com, a slapjack is the act of ejaculating on one's hand, then slapping another person in the face. And the example is, today I gave Melinda a slapjack after that bitch ate the last Hot Pocket. Education here on the Fightful Wrestling Podcast. Roxas Vanitas says, am I supposed to like the Hurt Business now? I see a lot of people saying this. Who's the babyface? I'm okay with there not being a babyface. I'm watching an FTR Young Bucks feud, which they fumbled in AEW, but I like that you get to decide which one you like. You're not supposed to like anybody. You get to decide if you like one. I think that's less insulting to the intelligence than, hey, you know these guys that have been garbage people for the last few months? Well, now you need to cheer them because they're going and high-fiving the virtual boards and all that stuff. How do you feel about the double heel groups here?
I mean, I think that the dynamic has not worked because they don't want to hurt the Hurt Business. and they don't care about Retribution. So it's just like, a heel versus heel can work and has worked brilliantly in the past. But here it is not working because one of these teams is just dominating the feud. And then you got Ali cutting promos being like, hey, we're a serious act. Yeah. I don't think you are, man. I don't think you are, buddy.
No.
We had so many people like messages being like, wow, wait till they reveal who the real leader of the group is going to be. Like, it's the Dark Order all over again. Of just like, let's just keep rebooting this until we get it right.
To be fair, that did work with the Dark Order. That worked very well.
Do you know what it did? They're great now.
Anakin says, I know it wouldn't have happened, but I was kind of hoping that Reckoning and Shelton would just continue their real-life feud. That was one of the things that first made me interested in Twitter was Mia Yim and Shelton Benjamin trashing each other. And Colt Bedeau says, at least the Hurt Business looks strong. Poor Ali. Ali's doing his best. He really is doing his best. But
he's cutting good promos, man. He's cutting really good promos.
He's really great. And so was Sasha Banks versus Bayley. This freaking Hell in a Cell match. It was very tough. And I'm not saying they topped Brooklyn, but it was very tough to follow up Brooklyn. It was going to be hard to even live up to it because there's no crowd. I thought they knocked it out of the park. Like Sasha spamming those meteors, the one running up the table, the one jumping off the ladder into the corner was brutal.
Yeah.
This match
was great. This match was so good. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, like you, I'm not sure if you can top Brooklyn because I think it was such a special match and such a special moment with that really special crowd. You know, you had Izzy on the prediction show, but let me tell you this, I was a 30-year-old Izzy on that night because I was crying my eyes out with happiness when Bayley won. I didn't get that same emotion here, but I did want my girl Bayley to retain, because I really wanted Sasha winning the belt to be the culmination of this story rather than, be the first chapter. So I was surprised that Banks won in a way. But at the same time, I think you can easily spin the story up and be like, well, Banks can't successfully defend a title. So that's Bayley's way to get the rematch. And then that's the crowning moment for Banks is it's not winning the title, it's defending it. So for that first title defense, that'll be her big crowning moment, which I'm also completely on board with. I am loving Banks' work at the moment. I think Bayley's a terrific heel. This match was awesome. So great.
And I know a lot of people would be like, oh, what's it matter if she hasn't defended it? Look at a Sasha Banks Stan account. It matters. That's all I ever hear from them. And I love those people. I love Sasha Banks stans. Sasha Banks stans will eradicate COVID-19 one day if she puts out a tweet and says, hey, guys, can we come up with a vaccine or something? They'll figure it out. That's just the way it is. Queen Hannah says, I wish Sasha and Bayley would have main evented. I wish anything would have main evented over, I mean, not Elias and Jeff Hardy, but Roman or Jey, Bayley and Sasha. Really, ideally, I would have went Bayley and Sasha. But
yeah. Oh, yeah. Given the choice of the two, if you wanted to end the show with a title change, then Bayley versus Sasha should have been the main event.
Aaron Entertainment says, I thought it was the best match of the night. I agree. I thought it was the best.
Same here.
Michael Esquivel says, Sasha and Bayley was amazing. Give them all the stars. Well, I didn't give them all the stars. I do an out of 10 system. Check it out. Fightful.com. That's a good time. But there were some spots that I really loved. The corkscrew sunset flip bomb into the cell. There's just violent spot after violent spot. Bayley had her chair kicked out of the ring early, which was great. And they set the tone. They both showed up in like WrestleMania main event shape with awesome new gear. It looked fresh. It looked different. There was a hilarious spot where Bayley was trying to tape two kendo sticks together, and she looked at the ref and she's like, I'm sweaty, can you do this for me?
Yeah, that is the reason why I cannot give this match all of the stars, because Bayley shouting to the ref and the mic pick it up, I'm too sweaty, can you do this for me? And then making this like mecha kendo stick that eventually built to nothing, like it was it kind of like killed a bit of time, and I wasn't quite sure of the points of it.
I do like that right after that, like she didn't get to just drag Sasha over. Sasha extinguished her after that. Yeah. So it's like, okay, she learned her lesson. There was the spots across the ladder, really good. Bayley getting the chair up with the frog splash. Yeah. Bayley sliding out of the ring to avoid the bank statement because she couldn't grab the ropes, and then both women doing the Bayley to belly. If every woman took the Bayley to belly like Sasha Banks, I don't think as many people would have been complaining about that being a bad finish, because she always makes it look good.
Dude, I am that guy that when I watched Bayley wrestle live, jumped out of my seat for a Bayley to belly, because that move was over to me. And I popped again for it here. Banks hitting it, Bayley hitting it, loved it. I also loved the callback to their takeover match with Banks stomping on the hands to stop her from like reaching out for the ropes, and then doing it again for the finish when she had her head between the chairs. Absolutely loved all those callbacks. It was a really, really fantastic match. Now these two work together brilliantly.
I love it, like when you see wrestlers go crazy about finishes. It felt like 2-3 years ago, you didn't see like indie wrestlers tweeting about WWE events. It's almost like they didn't want to do it. Now people are like, I don't care. Like I see AJ Gray and Shazza McKenzie and all these people flipping out over the finishes of matches, and I love that, because I like the idea that these people that are going to be the big stars that we see are looking at Sasha and Bayley and they're inspired and they love it. And it's awesome. And these two were awesome. Like you said, that finish, Bayley grabs a chair and has her wrapped around, has Sasha wrapped around. And Sasha turns it into the bank statement and that callback, the stomp callback. Sick finish. If this would have had a crowd, it would have been perfect.
Yeah, it really would have done. And that would have really been what would level this match up, is that live crowd, which, you can't level against the match because, like, we can't have that. But for what it was, and with the fake noise, it was just absolutely perfect. I could watch this match 100 times over. If we end up with like a Randy versus Drew level feud where they're clearly going to have a fourth match in this series, I don't think I would mind so much.
Yeah, this one, especially because we know what they can do, and we know they're not going to have matches like what we saw in the main event tonight. So this got the most super chats of anything. James Shelley says, Bayley's ad-libs with Michael Cole and the refs this year has been A+. I think Sasha and Bayley have been MVPs of WWE during the pandemic. And
oh, yeah.
And I say that because they went to every brand as tag champions. They did all they could. Dan V900 says, I don't get why people are saying this was the sequel to Brooklyn, like the Iron Man match didn't happen with the story being 3 seconds better. I mean, that feud is associated with Brooklyn because that's widely considered one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. I mean, they had another good one, but other than that, they haven't wrestled outside of a couple Raw matches here and there that went like 7-8 minutes or something. And I don't think they ever should have. They should have never wrestled from that point until now. But they lived up to it.
That's it. And like, I know, I completely understand, the Iron Man match was great, particularly when Banks was shouting at Izzy. Like, that moment was like that's the moment that always sticks for me for that match. But the takeover match was so special because it was in front of that big, large Brooklyn crowd, whereas the Iron Man match was back at Full Sail, where it was a sort of smaller audience. I think that's why people would tend to hype the takeover match, because it is probably the best women's match WWE have ever put on. For my money, I think it still is. So I think that's why people go to that. And I think that's why WWE themselves go to that as well, because you've got that big crowd for the shots.
I just got to say, WWE continues to troll Izzy. They booked her for the bump for 3 days after Bayley loses the title. God, that poor girl. Roxas Vanitas says, this was the true sequel to Brooklyn, and just like Brooklyn should have been the main event. I think it's the sequel to their feud. I mean, I don't want to disrespect that Iron Woman match, because that was the callback that we saw. As Carlos Easy says, the finish was so brutal and a brilliant callback to that main event. Bayley's reign is over for now, but what an incredible run. Yeah, that SmackDown Women's title run is even more dominant than it appears, because other than a Charlotte reign for a week, it's been going on since May of 2019. It's one of the greatest runs with a title ever in WWE, at the very least in the cable TV era. I mean, Bayley overcame a lot of stuff. There were a lot of people that were like, oh, she's a flop. She's a flop. Can't say that now, Luke.
No, she has done so much for that belt. Like, that belt feels so much more important because of the great work that Bayley and Banks have done, throughout 2020 and 2019 as well. I begrudge that 1 week Charlotte run, because I really wish we could have said, this has been since May. Granted, it was over a year. It was a long old time. I do begrudge that 1 week. I think she's done incredible work for that belt. That belt feels way more prestigious than the Raw Women's Championship does at the moment. Way more prestigious.
Yeah, and I think some of that has to do with the fact that Becky had to hand it over. And obviously she couldn't help that, but she had to hand it over. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, that Charlotte title reign was important to Bayley going heel. And I'm like, again, they write the show. They could have come up with something creative. I mean, a lot of people were saying last year that Seth Rollins was like, oh my God, he had to have that crappy Fiend feud to go heel. No, he didn't. Brock Lesnar had Money in the Bank. What would make you go paranoid and enlist AOP and Buddy Murphy and all these people quicker than needing protection from Brock Lesnar? Like, he could have just gone mad paranoid over that. Like, they can creatively do this stuff. Queen
As well as
Hannah.
my favorite argument is just like they booked them so bad as a babyface, they had to turn him heel.
Yes.
They had no other choice.
Vince's idea of baby faces is have them get their asses kicked for 80% of the match. Look at Damian Priest. Guy got over by looking cool, doing cool moves, beating up Finn Balor really bad in a match. They turn him babyface and quite literally have Cameron Grimes let the air out of his tires because nothing's cooler than getting your tires slashed by somebody you outweigh by 70 pounds. Anakin JMT says, who did more to elevate the SmackDown title, Bayley or Becky? Oh, Bayley by far.
Yeah, Bayley, absolutely.
Becky
100%.
wasn't at her tip top when she was champion. Queen Hannah says, can't wait for Sasha versus Bianca at some point. I got a whole host of Bianca Dream matches now.
Yeah, that's gonna be a Mania program. Like Bianca winning the Royal Rumble. I am in for, because it's about smegging time they did something with her, something meaningful.
Luis Hernandez says, Sasha versus Bayley is great. Do you think she loses the title in less than a month again? I hate that they do that to her. I do, and here's the thing. It's not, I hate that they do that to her. I think it's building to a good story. It's hard for me to invest that amount of confidence in WWE, but I think there is a story there.
Yeah, I think the culmination of this story is Banks getting that retention. It's, probably at TLC, and that's the story. It's Bayley is going to use those mind games against her, being like, you can't defend a title. The video package that they can have there, because Banks has won however many titles it is, and has never, it's going to be so many of them, and has never defended it, and has never successfully defended it once. There's a brilliant video package in there that Bayley can use against her. That is going to be an excellent story to lead into the match. Can Banks successfully retain?
And one of my favorite things of the brand split era was when she and Charlotte hot potatoed the title, because I was like, man, I got to see what they're going to do next. J.K. Schwal says, another year of Sasha showing creativity in Hell in a Cell. That's the thing. You can watch any given men's match, and they don't even integrate the cell or do anything that you've seen before. In fact, they regress, usually. Not Sasha Banks, and I appreciate that. Throwback says, damn COVID, imagine the pop if Sasha's win tonight happened in Boston over the summer. It would have been deafening. Glad Mercedes KV is a Grand Slam champion. Our running joke at Fightful every year was saving it for SummerSlam, and we got to saving it for SummerSlam 4 this year. Because every year, it's like, okay, Sasha's coming back last year, so then they can do... No. Oh, well, it's going to be in Boston this year. Oh, but it's going to be in Brooklyn the year before. Oh, but Bayley's on the main roster now. No. It ain't. They're not doing it. James Shelley says, how would you rank Bayley and Sasha in terms of women's cell matches that crack top 5 all-time Hell in a Cell matches, male or female? Oh, man. I don't know about...
Maybe not male and female, but I would certainly say I enjoyed this one more than the Charlotte and the Becky matches. So for me, it's like it's probably my favorite of the lot, easily.
I think I had Last Woman Standing at a 10 out of 10 for Becky and Charlotte. So I would say this was probably a better cell match. It's top 5. I'd have to go back and look at them, but it's definitely top 10 for me. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'd certainly say top 10, because that's the thing with cell matches, is that a lot of them are quite rubbish. They had a long time of boring Hell in a Cell matches. So there's actually trying to find that top 10 is probably quite an easy list to make.
Oh yeah.
Adam's done it. In fact, Adam Blompier did that list.
Hey, what hasn't he done? He's going to do the top 10 Luke and Sean lists pretty soon.
Hey, dude. You thought that he's running out of lists, and he busted out today.
Yeah.
Top 10 wrestlers that your dad goes hot for.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We're winding down on the Bayley Sasha super chats. Dan V says, the Sasha Bayley Iron Woman match was great, even though that match wasn't as good as the one in Brooklyn. And Anakin says, I think Bayley Sasha topped Becky Sasha last year. Roman and Jey had more great storytelling, and I won't lie, I popped when Orton got out the lightsaber.
Okay, I'm a man. I own a drill. I've done some DIY around the house. Is it an actual building thing? Is it something you need for the to build a cell, or was it just a lightsaber?
I don't know. I don't know why it would be up there. Oh, man. Throwback 27 says there's no salvation with Retribution. It's sad. Yeah, right now it's rough. And Josh Tolman says Retribution gets their comeuppance and the crowd goes mild. Well, the crowd won't go anything because they don't have any audio. And then Drew Nicholas says,
Vince said there was audio. He told Dominic Mysterio, it's like, hey, no one gets a reaction like that on their debut match.
Degenerate Johnny says Bayley and Sasha's match tonight proved that all 4 horsewomen have fallen victim to the Chronicle curse. They have. Oh, it's like the Madden curse. Rough. George Yaman says, yeah, I like how the Shield versus Wyatt's was a heel versus heel faction feud. Well, this ain't that. That's for sure.
Yeah, this ain't that for damn sure.
No. Keith Palmer says the real leader will be an 8-foot, 400-pound beast called Shake and Bake. My God. And then Throwback 27 says Sasha is 1-3 in Hell in a Cell, also a Grand Slam champion, fitting how the feud started with a chair and ends with a chair. Bayley without the title is now interesting. Well, I mean, I think that she's going to be right back in that title picture. But, yeah, Michael Esquivel says, during the Roman and Jey match, were you able to hear what Roman was saying? I wasn't because of the piped-in crowd. I was at times, but sometimes I don't think they can't personally gauge the levels because they can't hear them.
Yeah, I think the lines that they wanted you to hear, you heard.
Yes. If
you didn't hear it, then that's probably a line that they didn't particularly need you to hear. But the lines they wanted you to hear, they turned those mics up so you could hear those words. We are at the main event. Get your super chats in while you have a chance. Reminder, thumbs up, subscribe, tap that bell for notifications. We are on podcast platforms everywhere. If you say, oh, where can I listen, where can I stream? Fightfulpods.com has the video, the audio, and the downloadable MP3. Drew Nicholas says Retribution loses back-to-back and gets chased off by one dude twice in each week. Ali backing off scared was terrible. I agree. Them backing off after they showed up heaving Molotov cocktails, Luke. This group is done. They are going to have to do a hell of a lot of work to pull this back on Raw. Where are their grenades? Reminder, guys, we will be really, the warning signs were there when they lost their first match because one of the lads punched another dude when he wasn't the legal man. Have they won a single match? No, they haven't yet. Oh. Guys, reminder, tomorrow night we are live after Monday Night Raw with Denise Salcedo. And also, it looks like on November 2nd, we're going to do our Halloween Spooktacular. Mainly because my costume will not be in until next week. But yeah? Yeah. Yeah. But you guys can check out Denise every Friday, I believe it is, with you, Luke. Indeed, yeah, we do the magazine show. We look at a big piece of news from the week and answer our Patreon mailbag questions. It's usually a really, really good time. The podcast version has a lot of me and Denise doing some extra chat on there. We took about half an hour. It's very late for her. It's very early for me. So the chat can get a little bit weird at times. We usually just talk about cooking, which apparently Denise is not very good at. No, she's not. She's not. Also, I'm always shocked at how early the WrestleTalk folk are up. My God. Because here's the thing. I'm nowhere near going to bed, and you all are already up. Yeah. I could have the most conversation with Luke at midnight to 1 a.m. Eastern. That's just how it is. And funny you mentioned magazine. I'm writing for WrestleTalk magazine. Check that out. I've been doing a monthly piece there. Really enjoying that. I never get tired of seeing my work in print, and that's been a lot of fun. So check that out, guys. Your article on tag team wrestling was so good. I really, really enjoyed it, man. Not just saying it because you invited me onto your show. I'm not here to blow smoke, but yeah, I thought it was really great stuff. To me, I never understood why WWE didn't invest in tag team wrestling. I don't know if Vince just wasn't that close to his brother or anything, but I don't know how anybody can't relate to having a best friend, a brother, a cousin, a dad, an uncle, nephew, son that they dreamed of winning the tag team titles with, sharing that joy. But Vince McMahon is not a joyous man, so. Did you ever hear Arn Anderson's rationalization for why Vince doesn't like tag team wrestling? No. You've got to buy 2 tickets. You got to buy 2 plane tickets to fly someone in. Oh, God, he's got money. Oh my God, he was paid. He offered
The Revival, 800 grand each, for the love of God.
No, man.
Unreal. Main event, and it happened at 9:23 Eastern. This just was not it for me. I love both of these guys as performers and wrestlers, but here is the match. Orton attacks Drew. Drew beats him up. They climb. They do the impossible and get outside the cage after they bolted it. Drew follows. They fight. They go down the cage, which is now the thing. They now go down the cage, which I think diminishes the value of it. Once we've seen so many people fly off the top and we see them climbing down the other end, we know the drill. We see the holes in the cell. We know they're there to grip. We see the crash pad on top of the table. And hey, salute to Drew McIntyre doing that spot. Got nothing but respect for him. Like the guy a lot. We saw it coming. Drew hit the Claymore, missed another one, and Orton won with an RKO. That was the match.
Yeah, it was like half an hour as well.
Yeah.
And its biggest problem, and this is not their fault, it is not Drew's fault, it is not Randy's fault, it was the main event. And it was the weakest cell match of the night.
And the
Like
longest.
And again, it's not their fault. It should not have been a main event. If this had been the opener, if this is gone in the middle of the show, I don't think people would be as down on this match, because you would have had the Roman Jey and you've had the Bayley Banks match to kind of like sandwich between it. It was a nice filling, but it was not like, it wasn't the meaty match it needed to be at the end. I think a lot of people as well were expecting Miz to cash in. Like, I think that's where they thought Miz won it. So they were expecting a big angle at the end, or the Fiends to show up or something.
A lot of people thought Edge was going to come back, because it's been like 4.5 months now.
Exactly, yeah. So I think people thought, oh, it's the main event, so they've got something really big planned. And it turns out the big thing they had planned was Randy Orton hits an RKO and wins. And that's the end of Drew McIntyre's title run. I feel really bad for Drew. This is his first main event as champion, and I think it was a bit of a damn squib to his title run, really. And the final shot of this show was the two of them staring at each other, which means we're getting another pay-per-view match between these two. And I thought 3 was too many. I don't think we need 4.
We're getting at least 2 more of these bad boys.
Oh man, 2 more. Come on.
You know what's happening. And here's the thing. If they were going to make Randy Orton champion, why did you wait until you beat him like 3 times? Why'd you wait till Keith Lee beat him and Drew beat him twice? He was the hottest he had been in over a decade. And they beat him, and they beat him, and they beat him. Instead of just doing it, and I get it, some people would be like, well, you wanted Drew's reign to be that short? No. I wish Drew would have won this match. I wish this match wouldn't have happened. This match didn't need to happen a third time. Why would Orton get a third shot? It doesn't make any sense.
Because he put the night vision goggles on. He put the night vision goggles on and beat up Ric Flair for a bit.
And the thing is, I'll remember this Drew McIntyre program as him coming out and saying, I'll give anybody that deserves a shot. Then he gives Drew 3. And Dolph got a bunch. And it's like, Dolph didn't. Aleister Black was undefeated for a year before he got beat. There was no mention of him. That's the kind of thing that Drew McIntyre would go to him and say, I know they're not recognizing this, but I am. You deserve a shot. Let's have a match on Raw. Then Drew beats him, for the love of God. It was such a weird title reign, and it wasn't that guy's fault. Drew McIntyre did every single thing he could to make every single thing good. But WWE has a weird way of booking baby faces. It was really weird. And this would have been so much more effective if they did it before Orton lost a bunch.
Exactly. The time to do this was at SummerSlam, when Orton was at his hottest. The time not to do it is when he's lost 3 pay-per-views in a row. Like, he lost at SummerSlam, lost at Payback, lost at Clash of Champions, then just wins the belt here.
Lost at Payback in 6-7 minutes to Keith Lee.
Exactly. And what does that? And what did that do for Keith? It did absolutely nothing for him. He's now being beaten by Braun Strowman in seconds on Raw. Like, it's a weird time to put the belt on him. And like, as I said, I mean, when we did our predictions for this, I was like, Drew has to win at this point, because I cannot see them doing 4 pay-per-view matches of this feud. But looks like we're getting more of them, and I think that is Do you know what the daft thing is as well? They just moved over a load of heels from SmackDown for Drew to start facing, as new, fresh title contenders, and then they take the bloody belt off of him.
It's so frustrating. Michael Esquivel says, Randy getting the lightsaber was the best part. And Cole Bedeau brings up a point. The Miz should have attacked Orton and cashed in and won, because why did that main event over Sasha and Bayley? Buddy, I think if Miz cashed in, he was getting hit with an RKO right then and there. That'd be the right thing. There. Mike D says, Orton is WWE champ. Miz has Money in the Bank. It's literally 2011. Tonight's show is just like their shows. SmackDown was great. Raw was terrible. That's a nice way of looking at it. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That actually is a really good way to look at it. Yeah, that's really, really true. Yeah. Going way back to that period of time, I didn't like Miz getting the. Actually, no, I was excited for Miz to be WWE champion, and beat Randy Orton, because I thought it'd be exciting. And then Miz's only good part of being WWE champion was facing Jerry Lawler, in TLC, and that was actually pretty good. But then he had that terrible main event with Cena. I don't think his WWE title reign was great. I don't think I need to relive it. I think he's a great mid-carder. I don't think he's. I don't think at this point of his career he should be in that main event picture. I think we should be looking to some new talent that WWE have in abundance and just refuse to push beyond a certain place.
Evan Wright says, would have been down for a Drew versus Sheamus program, to be honest. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been, just because, well, they would have had to rehabilitate him heavily. I actually would have been okay with a 6-week gender program before he got hurt, just because there was story there. You do one match, you play off the story, you wrap it up. That's what they're here to do. They're here to tell stories, and there's story there. But unfortunately, Jinder got hurt because I think this was his best opportunity, and I think that Drew McIntyre would have went above and beyond to make him look like $1 million. But you seem to agree with Drew and Sheamus. I think the matches would have been good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same with you. Like, as a 6-week program, I think Drew versus Sheamus, and Drew would have gone, like with Jinder, above and beyond to have made him look great. Like, I think, you're right. Sheamus needs some, you could have spent some time. That's what I thought they were going to do. I thought that's why they moved him over to Raw, was to try and rehabilitate him for a bit, then build him up for a Drew program.
Oh, yeah. Last call for Super Chats, guys. Keith Palmer says, didn't realize how little I wanted an Orton title run until I'm sitting there hoping for the Miz to cash in. Again, I think if it's 2 months ago, we're saying something different. But that wasn't the big surprise they wanted for SummerSlam, as I think we all figured out. I was on a live stream with you guys when we were making fun of the "you'll never see it coming" tag.
And then it turns out we didn't see it coming.
Oh, we did not see it coming, and thank God. We got a super chat saying, hey, Sean, big fan of your work. Thought this was a great show. Where do you think this goes with Orton as champion now? Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it, but I don't think it goes anywhere. And I like Randy Orton's work. I like Drew McIntyre's work, but they are in a feud. That feud will continue. You might get a little bit of Keith Lee peppered in here and there. You're going to get a bunch of no contests and DQs. You're going to get some backstage brawls, and it's going to be the same exact thing you've seen for a while. What do you think, Luke?
I think, if we're getting brand warfare, I guess it's Randy versus Roman at Survivor Series. And then right there, if that's what we're getting, Roman versus Drew feels like a much better match. That feels like a much more interesting match at this point.
It feels like an honest to God pay-per-view main event is what or what Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre feels like. Rob Bookin says, I like that Vince gives us Reigns and Uso and Banks and Bayley. I think his super chat cut off, but yes, I do. I like that. I like those two matches specifically. They're so rooted in story, and they paid off so well. You don't have to manufacture some crappy story all the time. Sometimes it's just there, and I thought they did enough, and they just kept rocking it. These stories have been great.
And for me, it's not just those stories, but it's the characters as well. Like, they are playing excellent characters and doing those characters so brilliantly. There was a moment during that Roman Jey match where I just looked at Pete and I looked at Louis and I was like, man, I love wrestling. Like, I love professional wrestling, and this is why.
Yeah, and the rest of Rob says, I don't like that they just let them have a rematch. Yeah, I agree. Throwback 27 says, could there be a possibility that Miz loses Money in the Bank against Edge, and Edge, being the rated R superstar, cashes it in on Orton? Yeah, I think
the ultimate opportunist.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if we're just reliving old gimmicks, we're just reliving old angles, why not give Edge the Money in the Bank contract?
And quite frankly, the man never lost the championship. Edge never lost the championship. While we're at it, bring Christian back and give him the Intercontinental title match that he earned in his last match. But he never lost the title. This isn't like, oh, he never got his rematch. They did away with that. They did away with the mandatory rematch, but he never lost the title. Ricardo Lopez Ortiz says, Retribution isn't salvageable like the Dark Order, as people keep saying. Dark Order wasn't getting over, but they were always winning or looking strong. Buddy, they were not looking strong. I was in the venue when they debuted. I was in the venue for a lot of the stuff, and they were like, people were chanting, "Who are you?" A group of indie diehards were chanting, "Who are you?" at these guys. They were bad. They were not good. They started the cult thing. They got over a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's WWE Hell in a Cell 2020. Guys, make sure you check out, I had a bunch of interviews this past week. Sami Callihan, Doc Gallows. He turned into a cartoon in the middle of our interview. I interviewed Bret Hart, which was just an honor to do. It was so awesome. I got one with Lance Storm dropping this week. I got one with Jake Hager dropping this week of AEW ahead of what hell pay-per-view it is it? Full Gear. But he fights this Thursday at Bellator 250, so that one drops this week as well. I did an Enhancement Stories with Big Swole. If you've never heard of that series, what I do is when I can tell somebody's going to be a big star like Big Swole, like I interviewed her a couple years ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this in the can. So what we did was we talked about her match with Nia Jax where she was an enhancement wrestler. And she told me about how she had to give Nia a receipt, talked about the experience of who called her, who picked her for the enhancement match, what that was like, what kind of feedback she got. There's a full series of those. I got one with Gangrel where he talks about jobbing to the big boss man in 1989. There's all kinds of stuff. Britt Baker talking about her WWE matches. Lots of stuff there. But Luke, you've got a ton of stuff going on over at WrestleTalk.
We do indeed, yeah. WrestleTalk, head on over, find us on YouTube. Nearly 800,000 subscribers over on WrestleTalk's channel. We're nearing that number, man. We have daily news videos done by Mr. Davis, going over all the latest news, reviews of Raw, reviews of SmackDown, reviews of AEW. We've got a secondary channel, Parts Fun Known, which has got various fun little series on there with Laurie doing Explained. We do Calling Spots, which is basically a narrative telephone game, which is a lot of fun. We're hoping to get Sean onto an episode of that at some point soon because we think he'd be great on it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your name comes up a lot when we talk about potential guests for it. And yeah, Wrestle 2, where we've got the Wrestling Daily with Alex McCarthy, True Heel Heat, Stephanie Chase, and Louis Dangoor covering up all the greats. It's basically like Fightful's like incredible work, but we spread it over 3 channels and with like multiple people doing it rather than just Sean doing everything.
And significantly higher web traffic, which I also admire. Speaking of Stephanie, I'm going to have her on my AEW Full Gear predictions video next week. But as it pertains to Ollie Davis, I mean, maybe one day we'll do WrestleTalk FTF, which is WTF TF. But the only question I have for Ollie is, how many rounds are there?
How many rounds are there?
How many rounds are there? I have outtake footage with Doc Gallows where we're emulating that voice. And he was like, man, that voice was killing me, man. It was killing me, man.
It was killing us.
But he did put you guys over as, and I quote, cool guys.
Oh, well, that's very kind of him.
And coming from Gallows,
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Guys, support WrestleTalk, support Fightful. Tap that thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until next time, thank you, Luke, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
We're out.